This is my milling machine I've been working on. The table which I have on a surface plate here was so bad. It had twist in it from this corner to the other corner. It was about 0.2 millimeters, 8,000. So I scraped the back or the top of the table using this surface plate, and then I scraped all these surfaces here to be parallel with the bottom, and for that I used initially dial indicator to map the surface and do a rough scraping, and then I used this straight edge I have here and made the wall back. It's made of cast iron. So I scraped this surface and this surface parallel. They're parallel within 2/10 with the face, the table. And then to scrape the dovetail, I used I made a block, cast iron block. I did on my surface grinder, put that in an angle in a vise, and just put the blue dye here just to rub, on the surface to make the alignment, the angle alignment between these two surfaces. And I did it on this side. If you see, this side was scraped flat, and this was just to do the angle, but then to make it parallel with this surface, I use a dial indicator. So I use this angle. These two were made together in the same setup on the surface grinder. So it was mounted like this, and I had the dial indicator swipe this surface until they were parallel. And then once I have this done, this dovetail done, I went to the other dovetail here, and I had to do a similar thing. And for that I use this contraption. See, it has a pin there, and then it gets mounted like this. And then I use another pin over here. I have the other pin somewhere here. So with this pin here, and I was swiping, just raising this up and down and measuring. And now they are parallel. The dovetails all set up good. And then I proceeded to scrape the saddle. You can see it's scraped on this surface. The other surface, it's this one here. It's scraped as well. They're parallel to one another within 2/10 again. And then I mounted the table on top here, and I measured as I moved the table left and right and back and forth, and they are indeed within 2/10 flatness for the full stroke of the table. So then I proceeded to align see what the alignment is with the column, and I use this square, but you know, this square is a cheap square, it's not calibrated. So what you see here is the deviation from being square. That's minus 2, 10,000, minus 1, 10,000, minus 3, minus 1, minus 3, and so on. And to calibrate that, I use this 1 foot cylinder square. And when I did that, I noticed that the column has a deviation of 4,000 in 4 inches. 4,000 in 4 inches. So it's so way off. And I was thinking initially to scrape this area here, just go down, you know, to get to the proper angle. But that would mean to scrape 1 millimeter here. That's 40 thousandths, and I'm now seeing myself scraping 40,000. Also, if I do that, the alignment on the dovetail changes entirely, so I'll have to scrape the dovetail, and there is an awkward position, and I will have to dismantle everything and try to do that. So instead of that, I decided to scrape this flat the best as I could, and then put a shim here. It's like not a shim, like a spacer, a 3/4 inch spacer, which I'm gonna put it into an angle, actually the 2 angles for the X and Y on my surface grinder, and just, you know, take that angle adjustment into the spacer. And probably it's not gonna be perfectly aligned, but to do the final alignment, I have this Turkite or Turkite equivalent, which I'm gonna use on both surfaces, the back and the front of the spacer, and then do the final scraping to align the column with the rest of the machine. And also, if you notice, I already use this Turkite here, because after all this scraping I have done, it moves so much that the screw which goes longitudinally here was no longer aligning with anything. So that worked very well, because I told you I got the table within 2/10, you know, it's flat within 2/10 here. So my next step would be to start scrape all this. I have a lot of oil here. Scrape this parallel for the full surface. I'm not touching in the back here, at almost nothing, and I'm touching on the full length here and the front portion here. So yeah, that's the plan.